the January 1967 edition of American Girl. So when I picked up this magazine, it was because, one, I love 1960s fashion and hair and makeup. So I thought it would be really fun to look through a 60s magazine together. I also really loved the cover. It is so cute. So our cover model here is in a green plaid coat or suit dress, but I think it's a coat with a matching skirt. It has big gold round buttons. She's got a matching purse with the same green plaid. Then she has white gloves and a cute white beret, which to me kind of looks like it's maybe leather. The text at the top is in the same green as her plaid outfit, and she's in front of a really beautiful blue background. Her makeup looks really fresh and minimal, and she has a really cute short to medium length hairdo that flips out, and she's got bangs. And they advertise 3 things being in this magazine: a new mystery cereal, a boy-girl poll, and scouts sewing up Paris. So this is American Girl magazine, and when I got this, I thought it was just a teen magazine I hadn't heard of, but when I looked it up, apparently it is a Girl Scout magazine. One summary I found that was talking about the 1930s editions of the magazine said that it was for Girl Scouts and by them. So I'm interested to see if we have pieces in here that were written by young teen girls, or if maybe it's more adults writing for young teen girls by the time we're in the 60s. It was a little hard to find information about this particular magazine because of American Girl dolls. When searching things about this, it was tricky because things about the dolls just kept coming up. So if you know any more about this magazine, please share in the comments, or I'd love a link to more info as well. So here on the first page, it says 1995 swings it. And this is an ad for the new Polaroid land camera that gives you a black and white picture in 15 seconds. And it's called the Swinger. The picture at the top shows 3 models. The man in the center is taking a picture with the Polaroid Swinger camera, and the 2 ladies that are on either sides of him are smiling. Then down here, it shows him holding the picture, and then a picture of 3, I think those are kids, on a moped. So it looks like you peel off the film. I think this tagline is a pun, so it's called The Swinger, and then it says 1995 swings it. So 1995 is the price, and you can swing it. The term means like get it right. I think so. Here on the second page, there's an ad for Yeti soap. It says, this medicated soap can make teenage breakouts go away and stay away. And actually, Cuticura is like a bar of medicine, and it gets things out of your pores like oil, dirt, flakes of skin, and impurities that makes blemishes happen. It also fights the bacteria that cause infection, so it cleans up breakouts you have now and fights the ones that are coming up. You have to promise to use Cuticura twice a day for about 2 weeks to get results. But since you wash every day anyway, what's it hurt to try? Just fill out this coupon, and then it has this little cutout thing that you can mail in to get the soap by mail, and a sample tube of Cutitone acne cream, the skin toned cream that hides blemishes as they heal. To get the soap by mail, you need to enclose 25 cents. So I guess you put a quarter in your envelope. The picture for the ad shows a bar of soap with Cuticura soap imprinted into it, and it's already sudsed up. It's in quite a cute dish that looks like a shell. Here we have a section that is featuring a few books, kind of talking them up and telling people what they're about and why they might be interested in them. The first is A Breath of Fresh Air by Betty Cavana, William Morrow and Company. Oh, I think William Morrow and Company is probably the publisher, and Betty Cavana is the author. So this is a full-length version of Betty Cavana's Breath of Fresh Air, and it seems like there was a condensed serial version of it published in the magazine, saying that people will like it if they liked the serial version they got a sample of. Then we have a section on my favorite mystery stories, selected and edited by Maureen Daly. And so this is an anthology collection of mystery stories that Maureen Daly likes by various authors, including Agatha Christie, Arthur Conan Doyle, Susan Glaspell, and etc. Then there's a bit on the treasure tree. Now we have a section called Teens Are Talking About. At the beginning, it says, Newsflash, junior high happenings are nationwide, and AG junior high reporters are on the scene, ready to cover current trends on the young world scene. January marks the birth of an exciting new feature column in American Girl, and it invites you to share things with them. For this section, here it says that down in Big D country, which I think is Dallas, Texas, they hear reports that teens have their very own country club, and it says, while in London, girls are called birds, in Dallas, they're squirrels. Well, that's interesting. I don't think I've ever heard that. But the reporter says, the name sort of grew out of the gay, fun-loving, mischievous nature of today's Southern belles. Okay, I have to read you this whole one because you need to know about zip-zap parties, something I've never heard of, but apparently it's all the rage in Brooklyn. Culture in the news. Gum wrapper sculpture, the very latest art fad with Brooklyn teens. No muss, no fuss, and certainly an inexpensive way to create exciting and imaginative sculpture. A zip-zap party is the way Brooklynites welcome the new year. Everyone dresses up as his or her favorite Shakespearean character. At the stroke of midnight, someone rings a zip-zap bell. Just so you'll know, that's any old bell that goes zip-zap, zip-zap, zip-zap. So, in that section they told us about two things. Zip-zap parties and the gum wrapper sculptures, both Brooklyn staples in 1967, according to this. Interesting that they say it's any old bell that goes zip-zap, zip-zap, zip-zap. Because generally, if you wanted to say the sound a bell makes in words, you'd probably do either ding dong or ring ring, depending on the type of bell, right? I am curious about what kind of bell goes zip zap. Oregon, saddle shoes are back in. Oregon is ski country. Teen girls are all for the fashion right way to look this season. Stretch pants are okay, but knickers with beefy knee socks are way in. So here we have some images that are related to these things, I think. Look at all the bangs and flippy hair. So numbers 2 and 7 are our finalist visiting museums in Paris. They're visiting a museum, I think, and then they are viewing some Paris fashion shows. Here, a senior Girl Scout named Steffi is interviewing a fashion expert. These two are just mentioned as being Southern belles. It looks like they're yearbook photos, don't you think? And hers as well. Oh, it's hers, too. Or wait, the Southern belles are 4 and 8. So maybe that's her and her. It's a little confusing the way it's laid out. It's fun, creative way to lay out photos, but a little confusing at the same time. And then 5 and 6 are the Brooklyn bell ringers. So I think that's her and her. They are ringing the Zip Zap bells. Okay, now we move on to a movie spotlight by Carol, who does not get a last name. That's interesting. Maybe Carol is like Cher, going by one name. Oh, but before getting into that, from this, I think it's safe to say that some teens are at least writing some of this, because this was written by them. That's quite cool, giving teens the opportunity to get published in a magazine while they're still in junior high or high school. But back to Carol's movie spotlight. So it is a write-up about Fahrenheit 451, the movie adaptation of the Ray Bradbury book. I've actually never read that book or seen the movie. I think Fahrenheit 451 is very commonly assigned in English classes, but I never was assigned it, so I just never really read it. If you've read it, is it worth reading? I guess I could also watch this movie. And then it mentions a few movies that are coming up in January of 1967. Is Paris Burning from Paramount? The Shameless Old Lady from Continental, and Penelope from MGM. Here, there's an ad for a fun music book. It is a comic book of musical games, riddles, and puzzles, and a story that tells you how you can join the band and play a Bundy instrument. All in color, just for you. Just right too. And then we have this little cutout. You can send to them. So it seems like it's probably free because it's made by the people who make Bundy instruments. So the kids get something out of it by getting the games, puzzles, riddles, story. And then it's also an ad for the instruments, I would assume. Interesting. And the ad for it shows these two kids, both in sweaters, playing instruments. We have this man, this young gentleman, playing the trumpet, and she's playing the clarinet. We also have a few 12 regular or stereo records for free if you begin membership by buying just one record now and agree to purchase a record a month during the coming 12 months. So they have a lot of good records to choose from. It says, hits make the difference. Only the world's largest record club offers you a choice of such great stars and such fabulous savings. And the featured stars they show are Herb Alpert, the Rolling Stones, Nancy Sinatra, and then over here we have Cher and the Supremes, and then there are just a whole lot of records, like Barbra Streisand's records, Dusty Springfield, James Brown, Tony Bennett, and then this magazine still has the postcard thing you can use. That's really cool. I love this old text, this font that was so popular back in the day, I think in the 50s and 60s, right? It's so interesting to me that fonts come in and out of style. It's kind of fun how there are multiple kinds of color in this magazine. So it's like full color on the cover for sure. But here it's like just one color. This orangey red color. And this is separate with the one color, and it's blue. And here it looks yellow. I wonder if they did that because it was an economical option, or if it was a style, or maybe both. So here we have a table of contents. It looks like there are 4 categories of things. So they have 3 fiction pieces, 5 non-fiction, 5 fashion pieces. Technically, actually it's fashion and good looks. And then some features. The book section, the junior high teens are thinking about section, and the movie spotlight section were features we've already seen. Here they give you some details on what the cover model was wearing. Interesting. So it's not a ready to wear piece she bought from a store, or they bought from the store for the model. It looks like it is a butterick pattern. Oh, her beret was store-bought, it seems, and it is suede. And here we have the Girl Scout logo for all girls. So I guess not just Girl Scouts, but it's published monthly by Girl Scouts of the USA. Here on the left we have an ad with a young model with blonde hair smiling, and it says, "Now start washing away problem skin with new medicated Jergens Clear Complexion Bar. Try it. The best 50-cent investment your skin has ever known." And then we have a picture of the soap, Jergens Clear Complexion Bar, and it looks like the soap is clear as well. Interesting, because we just had that other soap ad where they said you could get it for 25 cents by mail. So this one is twice as expensive. The 25 cents is probably a special, because I think it said it was a coupon. I wonder if people were looking for a new soap got that she's standing on the street and looks like she's ready to be picked up. Or maybe she's going to get on that bus. Or maybe she just got off that bus. But I love the way this is illustrated. The sketchiness of the lines. It's nice how she's a bit more clear, a little less sketchy, and then the background is more sketchy. It has a nice effect. The first of 6 exciting installments about Emily's unusual summer in a house of her own. And again, we have this image, this printed image with one color. This time it's orange. So we have our main character of the story here talking to, I think this is her Aunt Emily. So it looks like she's telling young Emily a story about some kind of a battle. Because you can see these guys have muskets, I think. That's nice too. This part of the illustration's a little more traditional. Young Emily is so clear, she almost looks like a photograph inserted in the illustration. It gets a little more impressionistic of the people. And then this is a little more avant-garde with those smears. I like it. It's cool. The illustrations are by Tony Coquinos. So now we have a piece that's called Tips from a Skating Team by Fern G. Brown. A brother and sister who scored at the Olympics. A brother and sister who scored at the Olympics share their figure skating secrets with you. Their names are Ronald Joseph and Vivian Joseph. So they won the Olympic bronze medal in the 1964 Olympics. And near the tours are figure skating. His outfit looks really hard to figure skate in, but it must be stretchier than it looks. Because to me it looks like he's wearing a full-on, full suit. She's in more of a traditional looking figure skating outfit. A little tight dress with some decoration. She's got the bangs of the ear as well. Here we see some pictures of them. It's them teaching. Here we have Ronald showing children how to bounce on the ice. Vivian extends a helping hand, an encouraging word to a new skater. Here Vivian demonstrates heel coasting for beginners class. And then it says spread eagle shows off brother and sister teamwork. In this piece on them, it says that Vivian purposely took a flop onto the ice, and she says, all students take spills like this when they're learning. If every new skater would learn to relax and not worry about it, no one would. And it continues, but I'm assuming no one would worry about it or something like that is what she says. And now we have the second of our 3 fiction pieces. This one is called Eyes of Love. Nan found that outward appearance is not always a key to the inner man. So I'm going to assume this is a story about going on a date with someone who looks good, but actually sucks. Again, we have the one color printing. It's used a really beautiful effect here. I love it. So at the top, we have the story in black text on this really, really pretty lavender. And then the lavender is the sky of the image. You can see they have some And the snow continues down into the black and white image. So we see a wintry scene here. Some houses covered in snow. Then a boy and a girl in the snow. Their scarves are all flying in the wind. They look like they're having a great time. The story is by C.S. Adler, and the illustration is by Lorraine Fox. Oh, it's time for our boy-girl poll. So the section says, which by the way has the one color printing, and this time the color is sort of a paper bag brown. But the section says, wouldn't you love to compare notes with a boy about what he really likes to do on a date, what he daydreams about when he's alone, whether he realizes that girls have problems too? American Girl, in a recent poll, asked boys and girls around the country the same set of questions and found that answers from both sexes sometimes turned the tables on the way each group is supposed to think. So it looks like the question in this issue was, who has more problems, boys or girls, and why? What are they? And then the intro continues to say, who says boys don't know what makes girls tick, or that girls can't figure boys out? Separated, they seem remarkably sympathetic to each other, according to our poll. Both agree that girls have more problems, as if you didn't know, but the girls make a good case for dilemmas facing boys and vice versa. Two culprits repeatedly cited by the boys for girls' woes were they have to wait to be asked, and they are more restricted. Here's a sampling of the group's comments, which speak for themselves. I'm going to read you all of these because I think it's such a fun slice of life from the time period. Let's hear what the boys and girls have to say. Ken M. from New York says, girls don't seem to make up their minds about... I think there might be a typo in this first one, but I'll read it to you as is. Girls don't seem to make up their minds about any accepted in a group. Boys are more independent, not so conformist. Girls depend more on having friends, says Ken M. from New York. Richard J. from Tennessee says, girls don't seem to make up their minds about anything. Robert S. from New York says, girls might sit home on a Saturday night, even if they don't want to, while a boy has to sit home only if he wants to. Arthur K. from Massachusetts says, a girl's biggest problem is worrying about the absurdities of social relationships, which prevent candid friendship. CJV from Oklahoma says, social pressures are greater for girls. Kendall M. from Illinois says, being part of the crowd concerns girls more. Leo C. from Missouri says, a girl's biggest problem is probably getting along with other girls, competing with them in the fields of clothing, hairstyles, etc. Michael K. from Ohio says, boys have to worry about schoolwork and jobs. After solving those problems, we're ready to worry about girls. Rachel C. from New Hampshire says, teenage girls, because they have to try to understand the teenage boys. Marcia W. from Georgia says, girls don't put up as much of an uncaring front as boys do. Boys don't have to worry so much about their reputations. Kathy O.K. from New York says, I think teenage boys have more problems. They must face finding a profession that will last them for life. They must must have enough money to be able to support a family and must like the job enough to be able to stick to it. Joanne B. from New Jersey says, boys have all the problems girls do, plus adjusting to girls who have more social boys. Sue R. from Connecticut says, if boys lack nerve, they have no life socially. They have to ask girls out and get no for an answer, call another girl, and start all over again. Patsy from Maryland says, boys, because girls merely have to look pretty and act smart. Boys have to worry about asking girls and finding the money. Debbie H. from Wyoming says, boys, because they mature later. Marion J. from Texas says, both probably have the same problems. Girls seem more sensitive to the opinions of others, while boys are bothered less by public opinion. Girls seem to have more problems because they are bothered more and therefore reveal more worry. Girls also go to others for help more often, so others are more aware of their problems. And then the article says, here's a rundown on the problems these girls felt bother boys most. Kim P. from Maine says, what to say to girls and whether or not girls like them. Ruth K. from Illinois says, trying to fit in comfortably, not only with girls, but his friends as well. Shirley S. from Indiana says, if I were a boy, I think the idea of having to fight overseas would be on my mind a lot. But boys probably have the same social worries that girls have. Virginia C. from California says, boys get annoyed by the possessiveness of the female. Joanna C. from Wisconsin says, if they will be turned down when they ask a girl for a date. Laureen J. from New York says, when they haven't spotted signs of a beard and being sure of themselves. So it's continued on page 40. I want to skip to it so we can finish hearing all the boy-girl poll answers. Carol G. says, getting a job. Debbie S. from California says, trying to be somebody. Susan S. from Pennsylvania says, to be as good as the image their parents have of a son in shining armor, being accepted in an acceptable school. Nancy B. from North Carolina says, worrying how to finance a car and have money for school. And then we have Christine C. from New York who says, I suppose the best way to get off his lateral pass in football would be a big problem confronting a boy. It would seem that other problems which bother boys are a great deal like those of girls. They worry about the impression they make on others, the way they look and act, and they are concerned with their futures. Are they going to college? The army? School marks concern boys less than girls, and girls concern them less than girls would like to think. Oh, there's a lot more in this article. So the other questions that they asked them were, how do you feel about Dutch dating? Which I think means splitting the payment half and half. What are your favorite things to do on a date? What do you think of dance fads? What qualities do you most admire in other people? Would you raise your children differently than your parents raised you? And what do you usually daydream about? So for these ones, I'll read you the summary at the top of each section and then a few answers from the different people. How do you feel about Dutch dating? You'd guess that boys would be all for it. felt going Dutch was fine for couples who see each other often, but absolutely out on first dates. One sympathetic girl explained her willingness to share costs by answering, "Teenage boys have enough problems." And then they had some more people saying how they felt. So I'll just read you a few of them. Carlitos from California says, "I'm against it. It shows a lack of courtesy." Kathleen from Maryland says, "It's only fair to split the cost of a good time." Ooh, Christine from California has a strong opinion. She says, "Dutch dating is for the birds who don't spend money anyway. Instead of ruining what's essential to a date, the idea that a boy is taking you out and spending his money and his energy on you, I suggest staying home and playing a rousing game of Monopoly. It's more fun and eliminates a potentially embarrassing situation." Mary from Utah says, "If I like him, okay." Michael from Maryland says, "It's okay if a date is financially embarrassed temporarily." Douglas from North Dakota says, "It's below my pride. It doesn't make me feel like a man." The last answer this show is from Mike from Maine, who says, "I plead the fifth." So it seems like there a lot of the problem is whether or not it's embarrassing to split the cost of a date, because it seems like people think it implies the guy can't pay, and some people think that's embarrassing. I feel like this is something that still gets discussed quite a lot today. Who pays on a date, especially a first date? I'm more of the opinion that the person who asks the other person out should pay, regardless of the gender. But splitting is fine too. What are your favorite things to do on a date? One girl moaned, "Dates? What dates?" And a college-bound boy shook his head sadly and said, "Who has time?" But all the other boys and girls cited movies as the greatest dates. After that came a few surprises. The girls, not the boys, rated dates involving sports next in popularity. Concerts and listening to music appealed to this group of boys even more than taking a girl to a sports event. But bowling won hands down over other sports for date fun. Walking and talking was next among the girls, while their opposite numbers said they'd rather go to parties. Walking and talking showed up as their fourth preference. Dining out took fourth place with the girls, was not mentioned by any of the boys. I think some of the grammar in this is a little iffy, but it could be different style choices from the times. Interesting that they have walking and talking as a date. I wonder, would the equivalent to that now be like a hike date? That's one where you walk and talk. But I guess if this is for, young people in school, would they just walk from school to somewhere? I'm not sure. At the beginning of this one, they say that the one girl moaned, "Dates? What dates?" And in the first section about whether boys or girls have things that harder, it was really interesting that so many of the boys said girls had it harder because they couldn't ask guys on dates. That's obviously very different right now. So I suppose that was a really strict social norm for that to be the answer of so many different people. By the way, I think it's kind of sweet in that first section that the girls often said the boys had it harder and the boys often said the girls had it harder. So the next question they asked was, "What do you think of dance fads?" The summary at the top says, Girls enjoy the current dances much more than boys do, which has been true ever since the days of the minuet. One boy dismissed the entire subject with, quote, "They'll get over it." However, other boys believe the Frug and the Watusi are the greatest inventions since the steam engine. Okay, I have no idea what those dances are, but I definitely want to look it up. I'll insert maybe a clip here of the Frug. This is what the Frug looks like. And I'll try to make sure to turn the audio off of whatever I find so it's not too loud. And then here's what the Watusi is. So it seems like most of the boys, or at least a lot of them, don't love the Frug and the Watusi and other dance fads, while others do. And then the girls, their opinions varied from, quote, vulgar to, quote, if Lucy Johnson knew she can do it, so can I. So Frank from Wisconsin says, quote, not very civilized. Robert from New York says, they're fine if you can do them. Bob from Wisconsin says they're exercises. Martha from Michigan says they're a good way for teenagers to let off steam. Janet from Nebraska says they reflect the rest of today's art. There's freedom of expression. And Peggy from Illinois says a little too wild. So a lot of various opinions there. Would the equivalent of this today be like TikTok dances, or maybe making TikToks or something like that? The thing with that is you kind of do it with your friends, right? Or alone, not necessarily on a date. But it's kind of similar, like, but instead of some people thinking maybe it's vulgar, they might think it's maybe cringe. That's not what I think, by the way. I think they seem fun. I don't do them, but, seems like a nice way to spend an afternoon. The next question is, what qualities do you most admire in other people? So the 5 things most often mentioned by the girls were honesty or sincerity, humor, intelligence, consideration, and friendliness. The qualities most often mentioned by the boys were honesty or sincerity, intelligence, humor, courage of convictions, and good personality. So we've got a top, they both have the same top thing, honesty or sincerity, so that's nice. Courage of convictions is a very interesting thing to say. I feel like literally no teenager would say that nowadays. Courage of convictions. Maybe they would say something with a similar meaning, like values or morals. For the penultimate question, we have, would you raise your children differently than your parents raised you? The summary says, surprise. It's the boys who want to do things like dear old dad and mom. But when they do want to change things, most of them would be more lenient. Daughters have their own ideas about bringing up baby, with the majority leaning towards more strictness. That's interesting. Girls in 1967 saying that they want more strictness seems wild to me. My mom grew up in the 60s, and I don't think she would want more strictness. From what she's told me, a lot of things about growing up in the 60s were very restrictive. Like, for example, when she was in high school, girls were not allowed to wear pants. That seems super annoying. But I suppose that is something imposed on you by the school and not your parents. But let's see what some of these quotes have to say. Maybe the girls will explain what says, I would dwell more on honesty. People outside the family often impress the kids more than parents, so you need a doubly strong standard in the home in this age of increasing cheating. So she's concerned about cheating. Judy from New York says, I'd probably be more strict if I had a boy. So she'd just be more strict on boys in general. Maybe not necessarily being parenting as a whole. Kathleen from Maryland says, I'd give a child more responsibility before the age of 10. So responsibility is kind of similar to strictness. And then Meta from New York says, children need a firm hand to guide them. I don't know if Meta is a female, male, or gender-neutral name. I've never heard that as a name for a person before. Now it just makes me think of Facebook's parent company Meta, or, things like the word meta-analysis or something. Or when people say there's a meta on, Twitch, which I think means trend in that context. So then some answers not about strictness. I feel like even those answers about strictness weren't not quite so intense as the summary made it sound. But obviously they're not including every response they got. So Teddy from New York says, my children would have more freedom. Liz from Utah says, I'd encourage children to experiment with different attitudes and ideas until they find ones that suit them best. Mona from New York says, I might raise my children to be a little more independent, but I only hope I can be as wonderful to them as my parents have been to me. That's a lovely sentiment. So for our final question, they said, what do you usually daydream about? And the summary says it's as you might expect. One girl said boys. One boy said sports cars. One girl said boys in good grades. One boy got very specific and said girls with long blonde hair, blue eyes, sunglasses, blue knit sweaters, and then he trails off. One girl said skiing, surfing, and skydiving. So she's a bit of a daredevil. One boy said telling the president off. I can't remember who was president in 1967, but this boy wanted to tell him off. That's a very funny thing to daydream about. And then they end with a summary from one girl. One girl summed it up in this way, quote, at this stage, girls worry about boys, and boys worry about their cars, sports, and futures. I don't think my mom was worried about boys very much at that age. In 1967, I think she was thinking about, school and science, and she went to college for it. I remember her telling me that was kind of an unusual choice at the time. She told me it was more common to go to college just for your, quote, MRS degree, your Mrs. degree, so basically to find a husband. But that's not what she went for. So let's get back to the magazine. So, after the survey, we have a section called Half Past What on the Moon. Do you know a year can have 687 days? Or that you can actually see something that happened 1,000,000 years ago? Have you ever wanted a special day to last a month? Or time to stand still, hop aboard a spaceship and keep moving fast? Because it's way out there that such funny things happen to time. So this is a piece about what time is like in space. Time is an odd thing because I think we don't really know what it is. We know that it happens, recipes are Yankee Doodle Dandy, which seems to be some kind of a casserole with frankfurters and canned condensed tomato soup. Very, I would say 60s, but it feels almost 50s to me. Then we have Dutch ring. So this is some kind of a noodle dish that you mold in a ring dish. Then we have nutty dessert, some kind of a sweet noodle dish. Speedy stroganoff. This is the only one so far that I've had. I've had beef stroganoff in my life. Then we have sloppy Joe noodles, which I would assume is some kind of deconstructed sloppy Joe over noodles. Crazy steak, which does seem a little bit crazy to me. So it's kind of like you brown the meat, then you put it in this mixture with cloves, onion, cinnamon, orange, and garlic wrapped up in a cheesecloth. So I would assume that's because you're just infusing the flavor, not putting the things in. And then you kind of simmer it and combine it with noodles, butter, and cheese. Then we have pale-faced chicken, seafarer's lasagna, which appears to have tuna in it. Very interesting choice. Green noodle toss, confetti noodle cup. These are by Susan Cooper, a very creative chef, it would seem. I don't think I'm going to make the tuna lasagna anytime soon, but you know, if you've ever had that, let me know if it was good. So the title of this one, Nifty Noodles, is in these nice orange lines. It feels very of its time. And the picture in the center here is of various kinds of noodles, like lasagna, bow tie pasta. Those look like egg noodles to me. And here we have this piece of red paper. I do not know what this is for. If you do, let me know. Is it like meant to be a recipe card or something? Unsure. There's nothing on it, but I suppose you could put one of these on it. Maybe. So now we have a segment called What's on Your Mind? And this seems to be kind of an advice section where people write in and tell them what's bothering them and they get advice. So I'll read you one of these. Louise, age 14, from Massachusetts, said, "Is it true that blondes have more fun? It poses a problem for me. Some of the boys I know like me for what I am, but some seem to like me because of my blonde hair. I feel they are using me for an ornament to show off. But I want to be liked for what I am, not for what I look like." So the columnist, who I believe is Nancy Davis, she writes back and she says, "Don't boys all like to show off whatever pretty girl they're out with, blonde or otherwise? Isn't that one reason girls take so much pains with how they look when they have a date? It shouldn't be too hard to figure out which boys enjoy you as a person as well as for more frivolous reasons. They'll be the ones you'll have things in common with. You'll find yourself thinking, he's such fun to be with. His sense of humor is like mine. We have so much to say to each other, or we like to do the same things. Concentrate on those boys, and you won't feel like you're being used." The end of that is not bad advice. I think that when you're young, it can feel like maybe you don't have as much agency in who you date. I'm sure it must have especially felt like that in 1967 based on all those answers on the polls where the boys said that the girls had to wait to be asked out. But it's always good to remember that you also have a say in who you date. And if, you're like Louise, age 14 in Massachusetts or in 1967, and you feel like someone only likes you for your looks, you can kick them to the curb, keep it moving. So here, it looks like we have our Paris Fashion Week feature. The picture here is a collage. American girls stitched their way clear to Paris. 18 talented young seamstresses used their outstanding dressmaking skills to stitch themselves a magic carpet to Paris. Finalists in Singer's Young Style Maker contest. These girls were selected from all over the United States. At Girl Scout headquarters, buttons fairly popped with pride when we learned that a third of all the finalists cited scouting as one of their activities. So it seems like these are contest winners who won a sewing contest run by Singer, the sewing machine company, I would assume, and they got to go to Paris and have a lovely time. This girl is so young looking. I don't know how old she is. Let's see. Okay, so each get a little description. Number one here is 11-year-old Kay Ellen Reed of Scottsdale, Arizona. Oh, I think she's wearing her contest entry. Wonderful work from Miss Kay Ellen Reed. And then here we have Sheila Gay Judy of Houston, Texas. She is 15. She's been a Girl Scout for 9 years as the time when she won the contest. She's wearing her entry and it is a green wool suit. It says she won $2,400 that she'll be tucking away for college. That's a lot of money for 1967. That's a nice prize on top of the trip to Paris. Pretty good contest to win. Number 3 here is Denise Nessa. She is 16. She wants to have a career in fashion. She's wearing a jacket dress, a vivid green silk and wool. And she won a $2,800 prize. Oh, and I see here it says that 11-year-old Kay won $1,400. So, Denise got the higher placement in the contest. Vive la Défense, parading down Parisian boulevards. Great little skimps you can sew yourself. So here we have a fashion spread featuring models in dresses that you can get patterns for and sew yourself. Here we've got bangs and bowl cuts on these two ladies. Over here, we're swooping in with the hair and then flipping out. This model is in a dress that pulls just above the knee and it has a really strong pattern on it. Maybe that would be called a shift dress. She's wearing it with black Mary Jane shoes with a buckle. This model is wearing a two-piece skirt suit and holding some gloves. It's in a light color. And she's wearing light-colored shoes with big decorative buckles. Here we have two models who look like they're walking off in the distance. They're in front of this Parisian background with a bridge and a waterway behind them. They're both in kind of shift dresses, maybe we would call them. They look like t-shirt dresses but are a little more photos of today. And they have decorative pockets. The model on the left has them placed lower, just above the hips. And the model on the right has them up high underneath the collarbone. This is a cute little bag that the model on the right is holding. It's got a fun shape. It is thin and elongated with a big chunky handle. It's kind of long as well. So now we have 4 more models in boldly patterned dresses. These feel very of the era. It says here, the jungle beat. Beat the drums for high-pitched patterns. Swirls vibrate on this sheerly wall cage, all over and around a tan underdress. A dress that's got the beat, swinging out, its orange and navy whirling in on a ground of stark white, shaping up a snazzy tent dress. So this one is a $20 dress. This one is a $14 dress. So I would assume those are ready-made, whereas the ones in the last page were patterns you could buy and make yourself. Here they describe the dress as screaming it in color. The wonderfully wild jungle tent, squared in at the neckline, with new 3/4 length sleeves on the flare. There's a name for the type of sleeve, but I don't know how to say that word at all. It starts with the DJ. I'm at a bit of a loss on how to pronounce that, but it has those kinds of sleeves. And this one is a motionful caftan dress, banded in scorching yellow, accent buttoned with small fire red spheres. These are cotton dresses and they're about $12 a piece. Here we have Robert Sherman's Listening Corner. Presumably this was proper to here. They have a little headshot of him. These are cute. These musical instrument accents next to him. They kind of look like they were stamps in black ink. So he talks about a few different musical things. In this section, TV musical showcase, he sings the praises of the Monkees, which I've seen before many times because it used to be on like TV Land and Nick at Night when I was young, so I've watched a lot of that. It's like a comedy musical show, and the Monkees are clearly meant to be sort of a Beatles-inspired group. At each of these sections, they have a little musical note. To start the section, I wonder if there's a reason for the notes they chose or not. We have an F sharp here. Assuming that's treble clef. F-A-D-G-B-A. Probably no reason, they probably just liked the look. Johnny's on the spot. In this section, he talks about some musicians named John. That's kind of a cute way to lump them together. John Davidson, John Gary. So mostly those two Johns. Here come the girls. I hope that all this talk of tenors and baritones doesn't give you the impression that distaff singers have given up the music business. Distaff, distaff. I've never heard that term before. Is that like the treble clef versus the bass clef? Because he's saying that women singers are still in, and he sings the praises of Brenda Lee and Nancy later, John Davidson, John Carey. Then they feature a guest review. Karen Elder of Danville, Illinois, wrote in to say, "You haven't mentioned a word about Dino, Desi, and Billy in ages. They're getting better all the time, which means they're the greatest." And she mentions their album and says, "Please stop neglecting our boys." That's funny. This is like the 1967 of having, or the 1967 version of having a Stan Twitter account or Stan Instagram account. Kind of funny. Just making sure that Dino, Desi, and Billy get a little bit of promo. I've never heard of that group actually. Maybe I'll look them up as well. Then they have Rapid. Then he does a rapid roundup of a few things of interest, including some Bob Dylan songs arranged for string quartet. And then here at the bottom, they invite readers to write in. So that's really what Karen did to promo her boys. Here we have a little section about uniforms to wear with pride. So it's saying that a girl's Girl Scout uniform may be the first of many she wears in her life. So here we have this young lady in a Girl Scout uniform, which features a skirt, like an A-line skirt, big sash with her badges, cute little hat, and a short sleeve button-up shirt, little white gloves, black flats that kind of look like patent leather to me, but maybe just shiny leather. And they showcase a few different uniforms. Here, this is the uniform of a Girl Scout professional worker. She's in a sort of a gray suit. Speaking with this lady who I don't think is in a uniform, who's wearing a black top with a pearl necklace, stranded pearls. Here we have two ladies in nursing uniforms. So they are long sleeve white dress uniforms. They look a little bit like lab coats, but they're dresses. I think the lady on the left has hers rolled up, her sleeves rolled up, I mean. And they have cute little white hats. This lady is in an Air Force uniform of the time. She's talking on some kind of a machine. Doesn't look like a phone. I'm not sure what that is. Maybe it's a Morse code machine. That's a total guess though. Here they show a lady in a United Nations headquarters tour guide uniform. She has a black skirt suit, and she kind of looks to be wearing a tall, fuzzy hat. But the picture's pretty tiny, so maybe that's just her hair. She's got a beehive situation. There's so many skirt suits and formal hats in this magazine. I don't have a single skirt suit or formal hat. The idea of it seems nice, but it might be kind of annoying to have to wear a skirt suit all the time. But if it's your uniform, that's a little different, because then you don't have to really think about it. Now we have our third of the three short stories. This one is titled The Accused. It's by Leslie Peters. A little logline here says, "Teddy learned the hard way how easy it is to jump to conclusions." So seemingly this is some kind of a morality tale full about jumping to conclusions. The illustration here goes across both pages. Another one-color illustration. This time it's all in this sort of nice to have in here. A cute little idea for a segment. The big brush up. They really do swing from side to side, up and down, round and about. What beauty brushes, those busy, bushy wonders that do most everything. Sweep, polish, paint, massage, dust, spread, and smooth, long and slender, stiff and sturdy, fat and fluffy as cloud9. You'll find bristled brighteners behind hair that glistens, fingernails that shine, complexions that glow. Ready for the big brush up? Here's how. Cute. So this is by Glenn. I think that was a truly excellent intro by Glenn. I think you probably say like Glenn. So we have a little write-up about these different kinds of brushes. These really cute illustrations of a young lady using the brushes. The style of these illustrations feels almost like a comic strip to me. Maybe a tad more intricate. So the toothbrush, and I believe, is that one of the things she's holding in the bathroom illustration? So we have the back brush, and there she's holding it in this nice striped towel. She looks like she's having a wonderful time in the bathroom. Her hand, one of her arms is held up as though she is cheering. Maybe she's using her brushes as a microphone, and she's singing in the shower. And here she is holding the hairbrush and seemingly looking at a portrait of herself and wearing a crown. Or is that meant to be a mirror? She's kind of garden stating against the wallpaper. It looks like her shirt is the same pattern. The hairbrush can give you hair that dances like pennies in the sun if you're generous with your strokes. Here, it talks about 5 different makeup brushes. The complexion brush, makeup brushes in general, the eyebrow brush, the lip brush, the powder brush. Oh, and there's one more makeup brush over here, blusher brush, which they describe as fat, soft, and usually of sable. Here they talk about caring for your brushes, and they recommend washing hairbrushes and makeup brushes at least once a week. Brushes used on skin and eyes should be rinsed after each use. These 2 illustrations are her at the vanity. She has a short hairdo. It's kind of kicky, and she has bangs, and it's quite sculpted in the back. And it has a tiny little flip. Hair flips were the vibe at the time, clearly. I love that they've done her pants with these lines in this illustration. It's really cold cream, and a nail polish for strengthening your nails. And those are, it says cologne and bubbling bath oil. This is a really attractive illustration too. Pen and ink, a cool ink drawing with lots of nice contrasting lines, nice shading with the line work. Here they invite you to send the card back to get a free gift of fantasy notes, which I think are cards, like note cards. That's what it looks like to me, and it says they are perfect for personal greetings. Oh, this is actually a bit of an MLM sort of situation, it looks like. Get the money you need the proven sunshine way. So they suggest you try and sell the cards. So then here is a bigger advertisement for that. So now we have some continued articles. The skating one and the hidden pearls of story. Here we have a few advertisements. Here it says you can write in for a free book. So it seems to me that it's a bit of an advertisement for other books. So like this book contains references to other books by World Book. So kind of an ad, I would say. It's almost like ordering a catalog for books. Here we have an ad for cosmetology school. An ad for getting wallet photos. 32 for $1. An at-home art study test. And they say that they'll send you a test to see if you're good at drawing, I think. The name of the school is Famous Artist School Studio. Here we have a little segment called Hostess Hints of the Month. They have a suggestion for a novel way of serving ice cream. They suggest that you buy small plastic flower pots, one for each person, and an artificial flower for each pot. Fill each pot to the brim with vanilla ice cream and smooth to a flat surface. Take a plain chocolate wafer cookie and crumble it onto the ice cream surface for soil. Push an artificial flower into the ice cream, and presto. That tip is from Mary Franz from Allison Park, Pennsylvania. I think that's a great tip. That sounds so cute. I would love that if I were stuck at a party or something and they were like, here you go. So cute. Here we have a little recipe for a deluxe ambrosia, which I had never heard of until I was older and I knew more people from the Midwest, where I think ambrosia is more common maybe. It's generally like fruit mixed with some kind of creamy thing and marshmallows. Oh, this one calls for sour cream, which is interesting. Sour cream, miniature marshmallows, shredded coconut, a can of pineapple tidbits, and a can of mandarin orange sections. A very interesting dessert, very of its time. The sour cream is an interesting choice. And then we have some more ads and a little disclaimer. So the magazine says, selling policy. Certain advertisements appearing in the magazines of Girl Scouts of the USA present opportunities for individuals or groups to earn money. The must be done on its own merits. When a girl wishes to take part in one of these opportunities to earn personal money, she does so as an individual and not as a Girl Scout. When a Girl Scout troop wishes to take part in one of the opportunities to earn money for the troop first secures the approval of its Girl Scout Council for the particular money-earning product or project. So it says you can sell these beauty aids. Here's an ad to just order 2 seahorses in the mail, which is interesting. They're guaranteed to be alive upon delivery, so that's good, I guess. And for enlarged pictures. An ad for glass and club pins, rings, medals, and keys. An ad for selling scissors, which has quite an MLM energy to me, but it says you don't spend a penny of your own money, so that's good, I guess. And there seem to be sort of unique scissors that have a screwdriver attachment on the handle, a cap remover in between the 2 parts of the handle, magnetic tips, and rust-proof blades. This is a segment called All Over the Map. Headline news in Girl Scouting. So it seems to be kind of updates from individual Girl Scout troops as to things they're up to. This troop from Charlottesville, Virginia is making raised line drawings to illustrate textbooks for blind students. And here I believe it says that the illustrations are completed with Braille. The Scouts from Randolph Township, New Jersey, they made a wall-hanging replica of our chalet, which I would assume is some kind of a painting. They did it in stitches, so embroidery, I suppose, or something along those lines. This troop here, on the bottom right, from Manitowoc, Wisconsin, they made handmade toys for the young patients at the Memorial Hospital. So then they invite you to send news about your Girl Scout troop to them. Here we have some fashion credits, like where you can buy different kinds of fashions featured in the magazine. Some more story continuations. Another card that I'm not sure postal cards, and they pay $1 for each joke they print. So I'll read you a couple of them. Funny family. The visitor says, "Are your mother and father in?" The little boy says, "They was in, but they is out now." Visitor, "They was in, they is out. Where's your grammar?" The little boy says, "Out in the kitchen making a cake." So that joke is courtesy of Loretta Furstenberg, Wilmot, Minnesota. Crazy query. Question: what does Santa Claus do in his garden? Answer: ho, ho, ho. That joke is courtesy of Louis DeLanzo from Lansdale, Pennsylvania. And here in the back, we have an ad for, again, selling greeting cards. They say you can get things based on how many boxes of the cards you sell. You need to sell 60 for the bicycle, 12 for the accordion, and 24 for this Tom Thumb typewriter. Well, this wraps up our flip through of the January 1967 edition of American Girl magazine. I feel that this magazine is a really nice time capsule. It's so interesting that it has so much content written by teens of the age, teens and tweens. I feel like that had something special to it, because it's really not something you see that much in other magazines. I have a few more of these from 1967, this magazine. Let me know if you're interested in seeing more of the editions I got. I was thinking maybe I would do a few more when we get to their month. Well, thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day or night, and I will see you soon.